The greater the amount of LOD in a project, the more reliable the geometry and the information in it will be, rather than low LOD. For example, in a geometry that you model it with a 350 LOD, the more it is reliable than LOD with 200. And selecting each of them depends on your work level which you're in it. As you can see in this table that is related to LOD specification, in this table there are different color spectrum. Here we have SD, DD, and CD. And this one is construction coordinator, and we have a fabrication here as well. And if you pay attention, we have the same color gradient up here up until 400. SD here stands for schematic design, which we will talk about it in more details later in the future. I'm just giving you a summary of the topics related to LOD. DD here stands for design development or developer, and here is for construction documentation. Now, in this part, schematic design, the first draft will happen in here. And mostly the architects work in this field. And the topics related to engineering is less discussed in this area. It includes the information you give to your employer, such as the plan of floors, the main parts of the building, the height of the floors, and other things like the general description of the elements. And when the employer receives this, it will move on to DD, aka design development. Now in DD, you already have the schematic design, therefore the topics are mostly related to engineering. For example, what type of structural system it should be, or what kind of construction materials should be used, and other stuff like this. And the key components of the project must be to standards and regulations. Therefore, in this phase, the maps that will be received by the contractor are according to the regulation and standards, which the contractor too is bound to get the job done according to these regulations and standards. Now the thing is, you will discover some problems or ambiguities in this phase which you didn't in the previous phase, schematic design. Now when it happens, this will go back to the schematic design phase, and after checking and making some changes, it will go back again to development design phase and will be up to date. Therefore, if change and revising is needed, it will go back to SD at once. This will reduce the cost of construction and will have a better outcome. Generally, the items that are needed to be embedded in design development are well-arranged plans, the main parts of the buildings that are pretty obvious, details of the project, and basic specifications of some elements, which will be shown here. After you're done with this, you'll move on to CD or construction documentation. All of the documentations that are required for construction will be created here. Be careful that no changes will be applied to the first designing, because if there was a need of changes, it should have been done in DD. Therefore, everything will happen in these two phases, and in here you need to create the documentation for all of the project, which it can include up to 400 LOD. It will differ from an element to another. For some, it could be 350 LOD, and for others, 400. In any case, we wanna explain the meaning and the concept of these LODs. So far, we've explained how we can use these LODs, but we will talk about the topics related to LODs later on.